Okay, homies. We put in the effort, that's for sure. What a day. Another one of those days where, like, the weights definitely are not going up just yet. You can't really force that. But the confidence and the ability to attempt weights that I have no confidence to hit yet, that's getting better. That's for sure. Worked up to 315 on clean and jerk. All beautiful. Like, perfect lifting. Could not be happier. The 315 has become the new 295, 100%. Got to be happy about that. A lot of times you got to take a step back and not think too much about the weights you aren't hitting and think more about the weights that you're getting more confident in along the way, because even if you're not hitting PRs, your warm-ups should be getting better, what the hell's the word? At the same time, they should correlate together. 345 is a weight that has been kicking my ass for better part of 2 months now, which is a fine issue to have. I got to be grateful to succeed. And I will say the clean has gotten to 315 level. Like, the 345 clean is no question. I always hit that now. No question ever, unless I'm having a really, really bad day. It's the split jerk that's really getting me, which is, again, that's to be expected, but still something I want to work on. The 315 split jerk is easily the most explosive and solid lockout I've ever had on 3 plates. That's something to go home running bragging about, for sure. The 345, some days it's just magic and it just goes, and some days I just can't help but catch it halfway through the split jerk, I catch it with my elbows bent about an inch, and then I just press out every time, even though the bar is still moving at the same speed. So it's one of those things where I want to really work on keeping my shoulders as tight and as strong as possible before going into that dip and drive position, because the instability in my shoulders is what's letting the bar wibble and wobble a little bit on the way back up, I did tell myself I had a bit of a day today. I had a great, wonderful phone call with an old family friend, mainly about my dad, and it was a great conversation to have. Sometimes you got to have a day to just really let it out, have your moment and get to express the good things you feel about someone you love that's not here anymore, with someone that actually gets it. I grew up with this guy to an extent, so it's one of those things where he actually knew who my dad was, and as great as it was to talk about that and get to relive that and express myself even more throughout the times that I told you I'm getting hit with waves of shitty feelings but still doing good as I go. It's good but sad to think about the really good times. The childhood memories are always gonna seep their claws back into my mind and remind me of how good things were to a point, and not to say that we didn't have good times beyond that. Of course, I'm grateful for all the times I had one way or another, but something about those childhood memories, man, that just come back to kick you in the ass when you're not expecting it. I had a great day beyond that. Me and the fiance just hung out, got to have a great day together, and dropped her off at work, feeling great, ready to go gym. I had to take yesterday off, if you may have noticed, because I mentioned it a little bit before, but turns out I fully pulled the muscle connecting from my right neck to trap, doing the 295 attempt on snatch. It's fine, just took a day off, back better. I always tell you guys, recovering is way more important than getting back in there. So I took my time and now I'm good, throwing the heavy stuff, not feeling any pain. My point is I got ready to go to the gym finally. I'm all amped up. It's time to get back into it, and I told you guys this has been happening every now and then, but a memory hits me, or the want to talk to somebody pops up in my head about what I'm feeling, and I just explode for a minute. You gotta feel it out when it pops up. Like, seriously, it's very important to be able to feel the shit when it comes, because no matter how much you want to deny or run away from what you're feeling, every now and then it's a very healthy and good thing to be okay with feeling shit sometimes. You can't I tell you all the time, The gym's not supposed to be good every day. It's not. You're supposed to have shit days where you don't hyper succeed no matter how hard you're trying, because you're not perfect, you know? You're supposed to feel that shit and that suffering so that you have something to work toward and be grateful for in the long run, you know? That's the whole reason why we have passions and gratitude in life. That's why we get addicted to life, right? It's one of those things where you have to give yourself a reason to bounce back. No matter how stupid it may seem, no matter how insignificant, the smallest victories can go a mile of a distance to get you really moving again. And I think that's way more important than holding yourself to some standard or not being able to let yourself have a break to break down every once in a while, you know? And I did the good thing and I reached out to my little brother, you know, because one thing I've learned along the way is I definitely like to reach out to people to make sure that they're doing okay before checking on myself sometimes. And that's not a bad thing per se, but again, I gotta have times where I break my own barrier first. You know, and my little brother's always someone who doesn't really open up emotionally, so I don't really expect him to get into conversation with me, but especially recently, he's been much more open. But you also never know what somebody's feeling unless you just put yourself out there. You know, you can't really assume someone's, you know, their emotional side because you have no fucking idea what's going on in their head, right? So, rather than hitting him up and being like, hey, how are you doing? I just was thinking about you. I wanted to be honest. And I was like, I was thinking about Dad today. I spend a lot of today thinking about Dad, you know. Some would say too much, but you got to sometimes. And I just wanted to be honest. I said I'm thinking about it a little too much, and I want to check on you with the purpose of checking on each other, you know, communicating with each other when we're just feeling like ass, you know, because that's okay. And the only way I'm gonna be able to get that out is if I express it, you know, not just by throwing some big hunking weights and screaming in a gym full of random strangers every day, as much as that helps. But you gotta reach out to your loved ones, you know, because you don't want to explode later. You do not want the strangers to see you explode for sure. But got it out. Had a great day at the gym, and I told myself that if I'm gonna have a reason to cry, I'm gonna give myself a reason to be proud of myself. You know, give myself something to really amp myself up for, you know? And I'll never force progress. But if I told myself today before I went in, if no matter how perfect or ugly it may seem, if 345 gets over my head, I am attempting 365. I don't care. And not that I don't care about my body or anything, but I've done it enough times to where in my head I'm like, we got to make a step. We got to shock the body a little bit to really see if that extra bit of effort's going to do something, you know? So, like I said, it went. So, I loaded up the 365, and as you could see, I died. It did not go. And it's less of a technique issue. It's literally just strength. Like the other day with the 295 snatch, I don't have a strong enough third pull at my hips yet, so I can't dive under right at that highest contention point yet. But I will confidently say within the next 2 weeks I can see it happening, which is awesome. Otherwise, front squat, super proud of the progress, because again, you got to have a positive perspective of what you look back on, you know, like the memories I was thinking about today with my dad. And you got to be able to look back and say, well, as much as I wanted to hit a new PR at 435 today, because I hit 425 literally this week, I just wasn't prepped enough for it today to hit 435. But the fact that 405 flew, and I mean, it was disgraceful to the barbell how much I manhandled 4 plates on a front squat. And again, the stability on 435 was wonderful. I just don't have the front rack strength on the way up yet to hold it the rest of the way that I need to through the sticking point. I got to 90 pretty good, and then I just couldn't hold my shoulders and upper back, lower back tight enough, and everything started to give one at a time. I'm not going to push that and injure myself. The whole point of max intensity every day is to push it as hard as you can, as long as the technique is as perfect as you can make it out to be. Oh, man. So just give yourself a day sometimes. Allow yourself to be vulnerable, but at the same time, if you need a moment to break down, but bounce the fuck back. Bounce back every time. I'm so excited to keep fulfilling my aspirations in life, because you can't see it now. You never will. People look at what I'm doing now and they're like, you got your shit figured out. You're in the psych unit and you're at the gym every day. You got good group, whatever. And I'm like, now, especially individually, it feels like I'm cruising through life, because I got my shit together and I tried my best and just got myself in an environment that I could succeed in. But I got to remind myself of the days where I was, the fry cook at Steak and Shake and door dashing through the streets making schmeckles every day. So everybody's got a humble beginning, but you're not going to realize the importance of those humble beginnings until you finally wake up and you just realize you've made it one day, right? So whether I realize it or not, I've made it. I'm here. I'm doing wonderfully. No matter how much the weights get heavy or move, I'm succeeding 100%. So got to take that to heart and be proud of that. And it will get better. There's no question. So at the very least, physically, I'm feeling great. As tired as I was today, or as not peaked as I was the other day, it's moving great. So easily 9.25 kind of day. Doing really good. The fact that these heavyweights are taking less energy is also a great thing to look at. Mentally, I'm bouncing back as much as I can every day. That I'm having hiccups a good bit, but I've gotten good at feeling it out, letting myself feel the shit, and then calling who I need to call, surrounding myself with who I need to surround with, do the things I got to do to just feel good, Not forcing the positivity, but allowing the possibility of positivity in a day where things can go to shit. So at the very least, mentally, I'll definitely give it a solid 9.3. I've been very synced up lately with how I've been mentally and physically feeling. So I'm grateful to have enough together to where I can keep superseding what I think is possible every day, because you just never know. Damn it. Anyway, appreciate y'all hanging out. Let me know how your lifting live's been going. I love hearing about it. And I will be back tomorrow for snatch, back squat, bench press. If everything feels the way I want it to feel, we are absolutely going to attempt at least a 275 snatch. If it's there, 525 back squat is the next weight. And then 385 bench is my biggest want for sure. But no matter what the numbers do, put in 100%. That's what I care about. So I'll see you when I see you. Be good, and I love you guys. See you later. Bye.